recorder of man's deeds, the keeper of his conscience, the courier of his news, that we look for strength and assistance. Without debate, without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive. Fight for what's right. Fight for your life.
Good morning, Patriots. Good morning. It's Monday morning. I see we got some of the mods in the room and tons of Patriots. Welcome. All right. As usual, we got lots to get into here this morning. We'll go as long as we can, at least an hour. We got Ben joining in. What's up, brother?
How we doing this morning? Wonderful morning to be with you, Patriots. It's going to be a great Monday to kick off this week of hopefully lots of stuff happening. D-class, all kinds of stuff coming out. Should be fun.
I got to get a notepad. Awesome. Yeah, there is lots, folks. Lots of stuff we learned over the weekend. Lots coming out. Lots of panic. Hypocrisy is at its all time. I was telling Ben in Garage Talk before we got this off, I was like, I went back as far as even doing some Lois Lerner, the head of the IRS under the Obama, when they were targeting conservative groups, the cover-up, the lies, Obama, the media. It finally comes out. He's acting pissed off. He knew nothing about it. It's all lies, folks. Oh, man. And then Rudy Giuliani over the weekend, you guys going around on all the media, they're flipping out, accusing him of everything. But he's like, look, I got State Department asked me to do this. And they actually just gave me an award, like a, letter of accommodation. Thank you. So we're supposed to believe, if you look at all this on the front, guys, and even Ben, I'll put it to you like this. It's like when here you got Trump that did something. You know, they're accusing him of, and then he put it on a secure thing so nobody could see it. Well, there was a leak every day for the first year in office, so they started putting here and there. Very legitimate. The people all around him, the DOJ, FBI, the heads of all these things are coming out with statements saying, no, Trump did nothing wrong. This is actually protocol. This is what we told him to do. But they're hammering it like it's Trump doing every little decision when there's tons of people around him, and it's like all corrupt or something. And they keep pointing back to stories like for Biden, like, well, the administration wanted him to do that. So therefore they're saying Obama and the administration, the State Department wanted Biden to go over there. They didn't have anyone else better picked for that job.
Orders. He didn't.
They could have sent anyone over there if it wasn't Biden pushing to do it or did it on its own. It could have been anybody. That way it wasn't that illusion of like, your son works there, dude. This dude's investigating. And they're like, no.
Conflict of interest there, guy.
That's wrong. Jack Trapper went ape crap yesterday on his. He's like, that's not right, correct, sir, to Jim Jordan out of Ohio. He had him on, and I watched that 13-minute thing. Great. Jim Jordan stuck to his guns. He's like, let's stick with the facts here, Tapper, because then he's like, no, that's not what happened. There was a corruption going on. Obama wanted him out. Biden wanted him out. The UK wanted him out. Russia wanted him out. And Biden was man for it. And he was not. He was actually dropping that Bermuzma case involving where his son worked, which had nothing to do with it. But by getting this guy in, there was going to be a true investigation into that. We got to buy that circus act, like of, okay. He wanted his son to go down and get investigated fully. It came out positive anyway, but this other investigation wasn't going to be looking into him. So he wanted to make sure it got looked into. Oh, please.
Yeah, the optics on there. It's a circus. Where's the ringmaster? You know, they come out crying. Nobody's at fault because everybody knew about it, and it was just everybody wanted it. Yeah. Well, who's your ringmaster? Who want to be kept in the loop of things? We know how it goes, you know. So it's the fact that, you know, that's been really hushed. It's been swept under the rug. Nobody's talking about it. All these things are coming out here lately, and it's just like, well, wait a minute. I remember that way back in the day. No, that was only a few years ago. We're not talking way back in the day. This is remember the market crash of 2008. You know, I wasn't too far long ago, and what was happening just after that and before that, everything that's going around that. This isn't anything new.
Well, they're saying bigger than Biden and his son, all right, folks? Bigger than Biden and his son and all that misdealing is that this goes to the election. They're over there digging in. This isn't something Trump made up on the phone and it just started last week. They've been doing this. They've been investigating over there because if you're going to look into the 2016 election to the origins, and it's not just Russia, because we know that was a hoax. You have the right to actually find out, and that's what they're doing. And this might possibly, they're saying, goes to the Ukraine. They were over there helping. There's already articles out that showed, there's actually a really good one that Politico, I believe it's Politico, which is like not conservative friendly normally. They're pretty much crap stories against anything Trump's doing. But yet there's one like 8 days before he got inaugurated talking about the Ukraine, everything going on over there. They have some buttering up to do to the new president. That's going to be Trump because he won, because of these stories leaking that there was a huge thing over there to help Hillary. Basically, what they're saying Russia did for Trump, which wasn't really that true. Trump didn't actually, that there was something going on bigger for Hillary out of the Ukraine on this CrowdStrike server. That's why Trump brought that up in the phone call. So, folks, this is what's been getting investigated. Everyone's like, the news is starting to act like it's out of nowhere. It's political. That's what they're going to spin next, that it's a political maneuver by the Trump to take down the we got an election. He can't be doing this. Really? These crimes get to just go away because there's an election and all the people that are involved are running. I think there's a certain reason for that, why Biden gets in. Like, if I get in, then he can't really come after me publicly because it'd be biased or something.
It'd be political. Well, I mean, you'll start hearing words like mudslinging. That's just for political gain. The deep state is going to start spinning it, just like you said, that everything that's coming out now, they're trying to twist the optics and say, well, he's doing it only for political gain, not for national security like Obama did it for, or what Biden was doing. And so they're going to start using words because what they're doing is preparing for the 2020 election. Remember, they got to supplant these seeds of the word like traitor, sedition, collusion. These hot words are going to plant in your mind. So what they're going to start doing is saying, like you said, well, it's doing it for political reasons. And so then it just makes him, an evil man, not necessarily an upstanding patriot and the commander in chief of our, great country.
They're spinning it all, dude. They also on that Trapper, it was interesting when Jim Jordan said, like, we know this, we know that, and everything that he brought up about Biden, Trapper, it's like, that's not true, slamming his hand down, and he would take it to the past administration said this, and it's like, that's golden, that's word, that's God,
that's on record.
I mean, they keep doing that, and then when you talk about Rudy Giuliani, is like, no. He went to on NewsHour, which is like, public broadcasting station. And this lady there, you could tell running real just anti-conservative message at all. But she was like acting like the things that she knew were fact. And Giuliani's like, no, ma'am, no. He goes, I got it right here. And he started putting it up in the camera. And he goes, right here on record, the prosecutor that was fired, we got his written under oath that he was fired
testimony
because of Biden's threat. And they're like, and she jumped in. She goes, we talked to the prosecutor over there, blah, 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 blah. And then they jumped in, and she goes, here, we got an interview. And then Rudy just starts like, whatever. And they played it over the TV. And there was a guy in a car talking to he goes, sir, he goes, what about Biden? He goes, that was out of my jurisdiction. I know nothing about, because that gas company, blah, blah, blah. And he goes, what about, did you have anything? And then the guy's like, no. But it was, the guy said 3 times, and the reporter pushed him to get the no out of him, but he's like, I didn't even look into that. And then they come back, and Giuliani's like, that guy's got fired from the new president. He's not even, she goes, I know, there's a new one, but this was the one that was in charge. She goes, yeah, that's the guy that Biden put in. We're not going to go with that. He goes, we're going with the one that Biden fired. We got him on an oath right here saying that it was, that he was told from his government why he was fired. And he goes, not only that, we got 3 other people that were there that witnessed this
that corroborate,
are under oath too.
Actually,
so we got 4 people. This has been out in the open for 5 months. You guys have failed to look at it. All of you media have failed to look at this. It's out there, and they just keep spinning. So when you hear this story of the prosecutors there said they keep going to these people that they put in, folks. When they keep going back in time to cover Biden, they're going to the past administration of Obama, which what we're supposed to, Trump's no good. He's a president. He can't do any decisions. It's all bad. But for some reason, Obama can make decisions. And we have to go with that. The past administration, the FBI, the DOJ, they were all good back then. We know Loretta Lynch wasn't doing anything wrong. We know Comey was a good guy. Come on. So everything they push to are the people that are fired. This is huge, dude. There is so much. It just announced yesterday the Clinton email that's been going on. We've talked about it a few times. It's been going on for a year and a half. They just issued 120. What did I send you? Clinton emailers are rattled after the State Department fires off the State Department.
The State Department.
And the next thing they're going to do, folks, the State Department's crooked. The FBI's crooked. The DOJ's crooked. All of a sudden, Trump has been able to make the whole government crooked in 3 years. Before Trump, it was great. It was a blissful world. Our government was working peacefully all around, creating peace and doing great things. And they couldn't, figure out nothing here. But Trump has managed to destroy it all in 3 years and get everybody crooked and deep and dark and make up crimes. These are real crimes. Yeah. They've already been let off. That's what they want to scream. They've already been let off for that. Yes, they were let off. But
and injustices were committed, and there was no justice done.
And when you see clear bias, we talk about this hypocrisy. What about the Peter Strzok and Lisa Page? As bad as those emails are, they still defend it, saying they might have had that on the calls and talking about what they were going to do, but when they came into work, they really never did any of that stuff. It was just fantasy and role play, and it's like, no, there's some weird bias there. They never admitted, like, yes, you were right, that is clear-cut case of bias, and they'd never come out and say that. They act like, no, because they don't want to act like their investigations were tainted with Hillary, what they did before Trump. And
it's interesting because what they can't be called up on conspiracy charges when you can be going to jail for conspiring to murder, not even to murder, but just to conspire to murder. You can go to jail, so you can conspire in those aspects. But like you said, we see clear and present evidence of Strzok and Page and what they were saying, and they weren't saying like light things like I don't like what's happening. They were given clear and literally traitorous predictions of what they were going to fulfill in the future. plans, premeditated. That's where conspiring comes from. 2 or more people conspiring, talking, communicating to fulfill an act in the future.
So what do we say with they're saying that so Trump can't really go after any of these people because it's kind of political, blah blah blah. Ain't that exactly what Obama administration did to President or candidate Trump at the time? He was a civilian running. You had, he was left, he's Democrat. You had Hillary, all these people, and then there's this huge thing, using isn't that?
It's so out there in your face, people can't see it. We don't get it. That's why Mike and I are confused here. It's a bit.
They thought there was Russia involved. Okay, well, Trump thinks that the Ukraine was involved with the 2016. They're not looking at 2020. They're looking at 16. But everyone's acting like he. So you have the Ukraine president again. For everything to work for them, they like to point to people, and the Obama said it was okay. This and that. We had okay. But like with this whole thing, the Ukraine president said there was no pressuring. Trump himself said there was no pressuring. But you have people looking at that conversation, and there's clearly no pressuring, but they want to make up the illusion that there was. Yes, there was. We think there was. And it's like, well, these people said no. They're not. They're all crooked. So now the whole Ukraine government's crooked again. They're to work with Trump, and Trump's working. It'll end up being Trump and the Ukraine, again, collusion instead of the actual people that were there. John Brennan went in as a CIA at the same time Biden and them were messing around in there with coming in. And we know that they denied it 5 times that they were ever there, but then they finally admitted, yeah, we were there. And we only know they were there doing rogue operations to set up these loopholes in the banks. And I don't know what was going on over there. Was Biden's son sitting there making $50K a month, and some of that money was getting siphoned into the Biden to make millions and billions? And
I don't know.
Maybe,
was he also
maybe Obama too.
Asset?
Were they both all making some money?
I mean, the bottom line is we talk about, all the minute details, but the reality is that a sitting president used federal apparatuses as weapons against
a foreign government, teamed up with
foreign government, and used it as a weapon against its own citizens and operated domestically.
Treasonous, folks.
This is at the foundation of what we're all trying to explain to you right now, and have been for a year and a half now, is that our government is now acting like a king or a dictator. Thus is why we promote the Second Amendment, not for hunting and not for sporting. For when our government starts to make decisions that we the people do not sanction them to make. And that's what's the root of the evil here. They can take a military agencies and then what we call third-party contractor, whatever, all these agencies, and do stuff to its own people without any recourse, and operating a totally other level of legislation.
Yeah.
And this is where it gets crazy. Now, Mike's explaining the minute detail of how it looks and how it's coming out through the TV and the mainstream media at us. They're saying one thing, but they did it in Obama's administration. But when Trump's not even doing it, they're accusing him of doing what they did. Oh, it's crazy.
And the reason they're doing that is because it's all brewing and they know it. So they want to get out almost everything that they're going to be accused of, projected out on a Trump to kind of smear it, to blend the lines somehow. That's pretty crazy, to say the least. This whole IRS thing really bothers me because that was all during 2011, lead up to the 2012. So there are reports that Obama, weaponized the IRS. Not, however that looks. It was his administration. It was weaponized, rogue people or a rogue agency, and it was the head. It was the. Again, they lost emails, Ben. Before she was the head of the IRS, they actually turned over these emails from before she was, but for the time she was, from like this date to that date, they lost them all, they say. So we can, again, going through history and find out the only times the government, the IRS, the feds have ever lost anything is when it's against themselves. And that's what Gowdy was sitting there saying, can we assume to the commissioner of the whole thing that... you guys are maybe that these emails are bad since we're not getting them. And no, we don't have them, so we wouldn't know that. And he goes, this is how it works in the court of law with any evidence. If you fail to keep it, if you fail to have it, whether intentional or by negligence or whatever, it just looks bad. Because if it was good for you, most likely you would have kept it, somehow guarded it.
There's a chain of custody that needs to happen if you've got real evidence.
And he goes, this plays out from federal courts all the way down to anything, any court. He goes, for anything.
Even family courts, they do this way.
You know, it's like, it's like when the government comes in with the evidence they're supposed to have on you and they can't provide it, but yeah, they'll just say, but Your Honor, I witnessed it with my own eyes. And it comes down to like this cop's word that you were speeding or something, but they don't have the evidence to quite, but you're demanding evidence to prove you guilt. No, we're not. We don't want to take your word, dude. So it was, again, just this massive cover up all the way around. And it really is concerning because they shut down like 33 groups that were powerful people to help get the word out. And there's lots of these on the liberal and Democratic side that all got their stuff right away. There was no holdup. They were able to be out there promoting for Obama to vote for him, where they shut down these 30 or 40 conservative groups that are huge, that are around the nation, that help get the word out. And then you see that, Obama won that election. There was actually interference into our elections using that technique. We also think that this spying that went on with Trump was so well done by then that he had done it in 2012. There's reports going all the way back that the first election that Obama did this whole spying on was on the candidate in 2012, which was the one guy, I can't remember his name. He's still Mitt Romney. Was it Mitt Romney?
Yeah, I think
that he got spied
Kerry,
on.
I think it was,
or Kerry's. Yeah. And they did it again. They did it all up until the 2016, and it wasn't just Trump that they were spying on. Ted Cruz. They were spying on all of them. They were doing on all of them. And then whoever it kind of got down to is where they horned in on and started. Folks, I mean,
this is just how they do it. I mean,
and we have a right to look into this. That's it. Not like, no, the last Obama said he didn't do nothing wrong. Or, Obama's, DOJ, they looked into this a little bit. Yeah, but it was good. Well, now we got new people and they're going to look at it. Oh, now it's corrupt. It's weird. That people
it is interesting.
Well,
I mean, it's fun to almost watch MSNBC, CNN, all these news, because you can see these chicken heads just running around with their heads cut off, and they're trying to predict, and you can hear all of them screaming the same. It's just hilarious. So what do we got here from what we got going on here?
So I was saying that on that Trapper yesterday, Jake Trapper, whatever. He was arguing with Jim Jordan out of Ohio, and Jim's like, well, they just changed the whistleblower. And he's like, no, they didn't. He goes, it's always been this way. And Jim Jordan's like, no, it has not. And he goes, you're referring to that article that got dropped in the Federalist over the weekend. And Jim Jordan's like, yes, I am. And he goes, but I've sat on these intel or committee boards for 23 years, Jake Trapper or whatever. And he said that, and then now it has actually officially came out, I'm thinking late last night, that just about a month ago that they changed the whistleblower memo, and it used to have the first words in there, must be first-hand knowledge for this to be considered any of those important levels to have to pass it on and do things. Anything under a first-hand can be looked at. It's not, but it can never be deemed what they were trying to say it was, like an emergency within 7 days, you needed to pass it on. That's why they're trying to hem that one guy up. He's like, I by law, So Intel community quietly scrapped requirements for the first-hand knowledge. And then it's like they had this all written up and they couldn't get it to go in proper, or it wasn't going to work out for them. So they really quickly got somebody somehow, I don't know how this worked, to change the memo requirements, which is huge. This has been in play forever. So it's like they had something, they had a piece of the puzzle, they couldn't get it to go into the system until they changed something else. And that's what everyone's referring. That's sketchy. And then you got these media people saying no and demanding yesterday to look good, but now they're eating crow today.
Big time.
We'll read a little bit of this here to let you start this off here. Let me click on it. But yeah, this is, I'll get it a little bigger here. Hold on.
All right. Intel community quietly scrapped requirement for first-hand knowledge before CIA rumor blower relied on hearsay.
On heresy.
Heresy. I almost want to say heresy, but hearsay is the same. In the months leading up to a CIA whistleblower hearsay complaint about President Trump's July 25th phone call with Ukraine President Vladimir Zelensky, the U.S. intelligence community quietly eliminated a requirement that whistleblowers must provide first-hand knowledge of the alleged wrongdoings, according to the Federalist Sean Davis. Then on September 24th, days before the anti-Trump complaint was declassified and released to the public, thank you, President, a new version of the whistleblower complaint form revised in August 2019. The disclosure of urgent concern form was uploaded and used by the CIA employee to file the complaint. Again, it's the urgent disclosure. Okay. And while the public just learned about this a week ago, the whistleblower letter to the House and Senate Intelligence Committee Chair Adam Shifty and Richard Big Time Burr was dated August 12th, the same month that the form was updated. The brand new version of the whistleblower complaint form, which was not made public until after the transcript. Think about that. After the transcript of Trump's July 25th phone call with the Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky and the complaint addressed to the Congress were made public. Eliminates the first-hand knowledge requirement that allows employees to file the whistleblower complaints even if they have zero direct knowledge of underlying evidence. Let me read that again. Even if they have zero direct knowledge of underlying evidence and only heard about it from others.
So that's
quote.
huge there, folks.
Jeez.
Think about that. There was a process that's been in play. They changed it to make it work.
Weights and balances.
They changed it to make this paperwork work in the way they wanted. It really didn't, but that's what they were trying to do. And then all this spin and these people going around yesterday and these, being brought up to journalists and there's, no, that's not true. And now, oh man, this is great. This is really, I'm seeing a shift.
Thick, you're right. It's a huge crazy because now that means any employee of any company can be a quote unquote protected under the Whistleblower Act. Now, the Whistleblower Act is very powerful. It literally, it commands a lot of federal resources to put you into a protected bubble because of what you're doing. It's almost like, you're going to a witness protection program. It's a huge thing.
Yes.
And almost like, having somebody,
and normally they're supposed to be protected. I mean, the Democratic Party that's what they're pushing it like it was the Republicans did it. And it came out and they're like, no, why didn't you guys protect this? And this is all in the media because you wanted it to be. And he's like, normally these people, it's like the complaint and that's it. But they did this whole orchestration again. They leaked it. Somebody from the left leaked this whole thing out because they didn't want it quiet. That's typically, and now the whistleblower's coming. I'm concerned for my life. Thank your Democratic people that you're part of and you try to do this. You're not scared for your life. I mean,
no. Come on now.
Finish this up, Ben. This is a pretty good article. Here's your last little.
The internet properties of the newly revised disclosure of urgent concern form, which the Intelligent Community Inspector General, the ICIG, requires to be submitted under the Intelligence Community Whistleblower Protection Act, show that the document was uploaded on September 24th, 2019 at 4:25 p.m., just days before the anti-Trump complaint was declassified and released to the public. Marking this document, state was revised. I think we already read this before. Basically a previous version of the document provided the ICIG and the DNI, which is the Director of National Intelligence, until recently declared that the whistleblower complaints must only contain firsthand knowledge of alleged wrongdoing. Now that was made clear that hearsay, gossip, or rumor would be rejected. This is what we stood upon. That says, look, you can't. If you want to be a whistleblower, you got to have firsthand knowledge. I saw it with my own eyes. That's more like law of the land.
Well,
That's
you can't. Like somebody said, everything about this. It's like it was so specific. All the all the intelligence community people that are retired out of it, they're coming out saying this. When I saw this, I was like, this is great work. It's so highly intelligently written with like citing off according to 18 USC, I mean, literally like trying to make a case. It
was a very well written act.
Like they think a panel of lawyers written it, folks. All right, that's how bad they're thinking that this guy is just this entity that they decided to use to be the actual. They literally need a body to put this paperwork in, but it was constructed by people like Adam Schiff. All that, we need to get him under oath and ask, like, what do you know about this? Though, when, where, why, how, and were you involved in writing it? Because that would be freaking awesome, way against the law. And we think he did because he was tweeting stuff the day before this dropped that almost lined up word for word verbatim for some of the stuff out of the. He had knowledge.
We told you this before, that these people know the declassified information. They know the real story, but when they come in front of a microphone, or when we, the public, Joe Public, see them, they know we don't know. Therefore, they're going to spin it, and welcome to the big show.
Yes. Oops, this was huge. So this, so Clinton emails rattled. I'll take a look at this one. Clinton emailers are rattled after State Department fires off culpability letters for homebrew server messages. Now they are also, I got a spin on this last night, that they are going back and classifying, like over 120 have been upgraded to classified now. And the media like, now what is that? Is that something to do with, and again, they presented it to their other little leftist person on the show, like, that could be a lot to do with the new administration just trying to, change things and go after people. I mean, not the matter of the fact that, no, sometimes over time, things all of a sudden can become that this happened under any
There
piece
are
of
ongoing investigations and thousands of sealed indictments, and some of this could be evidence in up and coming case, and so therefore they need to be classified because that links into other things.
James Comey's probably done this little trick on 10 people and gotten people screwed over and fired and ruined their lives, like by upgrading things. And this is how they got Mattis, or not Mattis, but who was the there was the one guy that wrote Petraeus, General Petraeus. He did an interview and said something that later got retroactivated, and he got like probation or whatever it was, but he got like charged
because they said something. Well, at the time it wasn't classified, yes, but it's been retroactively classified, and we need to just.
This has happened to great people. So if it happens to all the people around Hillary, don't think it's some conspiracy. It can only happen to these other people, but not them. This is
once in a blue moonish.
So the State Department's Bureau of let me get this a little bigger here. I'll go to 150 with it. So the State Department's Bureau of Diplomatic Security has finally finished sifting through millions of emails from Hillary Clinton's controversial basement server. Whoops. Cut it. While the State Department investigations began contacting formal officials around 18 months ago, the probe actually began under President Obama in recent weeks. The State Department has contacted approximately 130 officials whose emails went through the Clinton special server, has been retroactively classified, may now pose security violations, according to the Washington Post. So this has nothing to do with the White House, said a senior State Department. This is about the time it took to go through 1 million of emails, which is about 3.5 years. So that's exactly what they were saying on that. This is a perfect timing for this to come out, but it took about 3.5 years, they're saying, to go through 1 million emails. Isn't that? I mean, yeah. I mean, you might have algorithm software, but the Russian investigation took 2 years.
Their staff is. I don't know how many people they have on 1 million emails.
And a lot of people have been tied up in the Russia hoax, weren't they? Like a lot of attention on that and a lot of manpower put on that. So that's kind of interesting. So the flood of letters which began in August read, "You have been identified as possibly bearing some culpability to the matter regarding security incidents," according to the press report. So the list of officials being questioned includes prominent ambassadors and assistant secretaries of state responsible for U.S. policy in the Middle East, Europe, and Central Asia, but also includes dozens and current former career bureaucrats who served as conduits for outside officials trying to get the important messages to the Clintons. So that's... In most cases, the bureaucrats and political appointees didn't send emails directly to the Clinton and passed them to William Burns, who served as Deputy Director of State, or Jake Sullivan, the former Director of Policy Planning at the State Department. Burns and Sullivan then forwarded the message to the Clintons' private email. This is just...
People doing private things when they're doing stuff in the public for us, we the people. That's a big no bueno right there. I mean, that's... Why is, we know why, and you guys know why, that the last administration and the deep swampy state is getting a pass at all of the crimes they've committed, and why all of you, Mike and I, are very anxious to see them all arrested, all go away in green jumpers to Gitmo, and some of them never go anywhere and just basically end their life right there. But we can see that this has been going on for a couple of 100 years now, and for 3 years of looking into this kind of stuff. You're just seeing this old dragon getting poked up, and he's now rearing up his head, and he's doing everything he can to keep your mind controlled, to keep the narrative going. It's just coming out big time now. All this stuff is spilling over. We're finding out the average American person does not have trust like they used to in our government.
Yeah.
We don't trust our government like we used to. It's almost at an all-time high that the average American does not fully trust the inner workings
you can't.
Of the government.
Not when this kind of crap's going on. It is.
No, exactly. I have very little faith in a lot of these agencies, and it's not because of the good men and women they have working there.
I'm never going to give up. Let's make that clear.
No,
out there for everyone.
Of course not. Yeah,
not giving up on my country. I love it. I just think there's bad people. That's a big difference. Like, I've given up and I'm done. And it's like, I don't think like some people, this whole evil system. And now you could argue, and that's something else to get cleaning up the government, and then also the size of it. I mean, there's many people across all different platforms and in their life what they agree on, what's too big, what's too small, what should happen, blah blah blah. I'm all for less and less government in people's lives. I think they don't do a good job raising and telling people what to do. That's maybe my opinion, but.
Yeah, that's why Mike and I get along very well in our conservative and our not even conservatives, more of our constitutional
beliefs.
I think big people, little tiny government, and we agree on that. And that's something I think we all have to come to that conclusion, because if you like the Constitution, which I'm a huge fan of that, plus the founding documents, it kind of tells you what you really should be believing, adhering by if you're an American.
Why did Adam Schiff send a staffer to the Ukraine in August?
Look at those shifty eyes. Shifty.
I got my eyes on you.
I see you. I know what you did last summer in Ukraine.
Go ahead and read some of this.
And just wait until you see who sponsored that trip. Let's see, go up there. What trip are they talking about? The Open to Corruption investigation into Schiff now. This whistleblower, unquote, issued a shaping up to look like an awful lot like the Kavanaugh shakedown all over again. Is it not? Quote, the graven of an offense here is the president using the power of his office to coerce a foreign nation into helping his presidential campaign to once again interfere in our election. And at the same time, withholding foreign aid that country so desperately needs to fight off who? The Russians, he says in quote.
They're coming.
The situation demands that we move forward with the inquiry, end quote. So some source told NBC. Man, yeah, hold that thought there. Shifty, maybe you are the one that needs some thorough investigating. Because Shifty. The same piece of Shifty Shift was whose privileged access to
classified... The same piece of Schiff.
The same piece of Schiff that gave him the ability to make accusations that nobody could question like the bogus, more than circumstantial evidence. He claimed to have that Russia colluded with Trump, despite a Mueller investigation tasked to find precisely that evidence coming up empty. Is it in the right of kicking something else now?
Well, that's what they're referring to there, folks, is for merely 2 years, he went around to CNN, MSNBC, and he's like, I've seen it. He started just really saying, like, he's seen evidence, but he never provided it. So after Mueller couldn't find it, everyone's like, hey, give the evidence you have to Mueller, man. You had stuff. You said you saw it. Give it to him so he can get Trump. Why are you holding evidence that you have that you saw? Why are you
slow playing this? Yeah.
Well, and the way I see it, I had something. But
heard it from a boo. He's up to his neck in the Ukraine controversy, and now an interesting smoking gun has arisen.
Ooh, Jack Prosabeck. I'll read this. His Twitter. Oops. Oh, man, I clicked it, but it'll take us there. Adam Schiff sent a House Intel staffer to Ukraine during August 24th through the 31st, just 12 days after receiving the whistleblower's complaint. This is the same week Schiff posted his Ukraine military aid went, August 28th, right here. Trump is withholding vital military aid to Ukraine, while his personal lawyers seek help from the Ukraine government to investigate his political opponent. It doesn't take a stable genius to see the magnitude of this conflict or how destructive it is to our national security. Jeez. This guy
is basically projecting their sins upon the blameless. One of Schiff's staffers took up a trip to Ukraine in August. What an amazing coincidence, man! And it was not long before the rules allowing for secondhand and hearsay evidence to be accepted for a whistleblower use. Isn't it amazing that all of this is brewing just before the release of that highly anticipated IG report into the origins of the Spygate scandal? So what exactly did Schiff staffer do in his visit to Ukraine? He spoke with the former president, the guy who, strong Obama ties, the guy where Obama was like, let him know when I get elected, I'm a little more loose in our,
Who did he talk to? He spoke with the former
president. The same guy that we got Obama on tape because he didn't know that the camera was on, was like to one of his guys, like, let him know that when I become president, negotiations will be a little bit, a little better. Hey, here's Jack Posibek. Here's an Adam Shifty Shift signature authorizing the travel, dated July 22nd.
Jeez.
Like, there
is
you
the traveler aware of any registered federal lobbyists or foreign agents involved in planning, organizing, requesting, arranging the trip? No.
No. And look at that. That was not even his real signature. Rubber stamped. That's a traditional rubber stamp right there, folks.
So Jack noticed something interesting about the timeline. When I looked at the sponsor of the trip, an awful familiar name popped up. Thomas Eager, Adam Schiff. Atlantic Council? Atlantic Council's Eurasia Center. A couple of key names show up there. One of them is Clinton, another is Pinchuk. There are some tight Russia ties that could interest our readers in an article from which the following quote is the only tip of the iceberg. Although exact numbers are not clear, reports filed by the Clinton Foundation indicate that as much as $25 million of Pinchuk's charitable donations went to the Clinton organization. But think back to the actual transcript of Trump's phone call with the Ukraine president. What was the favor? It wasn't Biden. They didn't even talk about him till later. Trump wanted to know something about CrowdStrike and the hacked Hillary server that the feds never really actually got their hands on. Oh, look. Ooh. What a coincidence. So now I'm gonna drop a pre-order plug here because capitalism, baby. Capitalists in Hollywood suck. Globalists in Hollywood suck. Support America's first culture. The co-founder of CrowdStrike is a senior fellow of the think tank.
Oh, the think tank. You know what those guys are? They work for the Council of Foreign Affairs, the all kinds of other people.
Dmitry Alperovich. Now, does a conducting secret meeting with a foreign leader who was duly replaced by a rival in election count as foreign meddling? And with all the obvious political connections and groups we've cited, not to mention a meeting with a defeated politician politically aligned with the Obama administration, he was truly honest in checking no to the foreign lobbyist box.
No.
One of the interesting things about the treaty William Jefferson Clinton signed with Ukraine is our ability to discuss issues of corruption, which means a Trump conversation between Trump's DOJ and the Ukraine's counterparts is entirely appropriate. To the Senate of the United States, with a view to receiving the advice and consent of the Senate to ratification, I transmit herewith the treaty between the United States of America and the Ukraine on mutual legal assistance in criminal matters with annex, signed at Kyiv on July 22nd, 1998. I transmit also for the information of the Senate an exchange of notes which signed on September 30th of 99, which provides its provisional application, as well as a report of the Department of State with respect to the treaty. The treaty is one of the serials of modern mutual legal assistance treaties being negotiated by the United States in order to counter criminal activities more effectively. The treaty should be a more effective tool to assist in the prosecution of a wide variety of crimes, including drug trafficking offenses. The treaty is a self-executing. It provides for a broad range of cooperation in criminal matters. Mutual assistance available under the treaty includes taking of testimony or statements of persons, providing documents, records, or articles of evidence, serving documents, locating or identifying persons, transferring persons in custody for testimony or other purposes, executing requests for searches and seizures, assisting in proceedings related to restraint, confiscation, forfeiture of assets, restitution and collection of fines, and any other form of assistance not prohibited by laws of the requested state. I recommend that the Senate give an early favorable consideration to the treaty and give it advice and consent to ratification. So
this is crazy. Now, what you just read there, this happens. This is what we have. We have a treaty with the Ukraine. Now, think about this, folks.
And I saw that yesterday at noon, by the way. It was a picture of
awesome.
It was just the head sheet. It was like all treaty, old school, but it was, from the Clinton era. I was like, ooh, this is interesting. Didn't look at it.
And hey, if it was a good thing. So in this treaty, both countries, United States of America and Ukraine, agree that they're going to share information if they need to. If something happens over there, it's almost like in the military, we have what they call the status of forces agreement. It's
looks like Ben. Are we still good? I think we're still in here. I think Ben just froze up. We'll see. Okay, I see texting going. So I'm going to flip over here real quick. How delicious it would be if the treaty signed by Bill Clinton helped get to the bottom of what really happened with the plot to take down Trump, or better still, considering the CrowdStrike implications. Hillary's missing emails. So both of those are very huge, folks. Very, very huge. This goes really deep. So this is why we're over in the Ukraine. Even the Biden thing's not good. Even the Hunter Biden thing's not good. And we need to follow that money. That deserves lots of attention and a full, lengthy, true investigation along with everything else. We're trying to get to the bottom.
I agree. Yeah,
it looked like you froze up there for a second. I was like, oh, what
I
happened?
don't know what it was. I basically pulled out and came back in real quick, and it's up and going now. So I don't know what it was, but back in it to win it.
Sweet.
It is. It's very crazy, and I agree with you. The investigation.
You're a little static on your line. I don't know if it's your cord coming into your mic, like sometimes when you bump it, or.
I don't know. Let me try it again. How about now? Check 1, 2. Does it sound good?
Sounds good.
All right. Yeah. It's crazy. This is just. It's almost like sometimes we sound like a broken record. They're just saying live. Thing.
Yeah, you got a lot of static coming in. If I mute you, then it goes away. So it's, I don't know. Don't know.
Check 1, 2. Is that better?
Yeah, it sounds good for the minute, but then 5 of 5. Everyone's all right. You guys hearing the static too, just a little bit? It's not too bad.
Yeah,
it went away.
It's static
only when you talk.
Whatnot.
So we'll let you know. All right, so that article's over. We'll look at another one here. So bad news for Biden's Judicial Watch files federal lawsuit. Guns save lives. 9 more examples of good guys with guns from August. Lots of stories. We covered a few throughout the month of August. Fearing Trump's hammer, desperate John Brennan begs for more whistleblowers to come forward. We need a slew of them. We need a slew of them.
A whole bunch of them.
Who was it yesterday? John Biden went around begging a lot of the news channels that he was on to quit having Giuliani on. He lies. That's what. Oh, that's
funny.
Desperate.
Stop having Comey on because he's actually a convicted liar.
It's like CNN's like, well, we hire liars over here. What are you talking about there, Biden? It's like we they're all working here. So it's hilarious.
It's very hilarious to even hear all this stuff happening, man. To see that this is nothing new. They keep on saying it. We've told you it's happened in the public last administration. They're pointing at Trump. They're putting everything on Trump when it's really, if you just think logically, this one person's not doing all of this. He's actually functioning under the laws, the provisional acts, and the standard operating procedures that his job and his duties detail. And so I think what they're doing is what they do always have been. They don't like what's going on. They can't control the narrative, and they're losing the minds of we the people. We're becoming more and more awake. So it's awesome. I'm glad to be a part of it and, come on here and talk about it because it's amazing what's happening. And there's never a shortage of information to get out to you guys because it's spilling over.
Yeah, it's coming out, folks. Everything's wrapping up. It looks like, I know we've all been really impatient, some of us more than others. It's hard. The wheels of justice move really slow. We get it. But man, when they do move, it moves. And it looks like thing after thing. Now, this is just the headbutt of it. I'm hoping that they found these criminal charges that all appears to be very clear cut. I know there's lots of people like nobody is going to go to jail. Nobody ever does. But I don't know. It seems a little different.
I think this is going to be different. I would agree with you. This feels different. I don't think Mike and I would be up here doing what we're doing and shouting from the rooftops like we have been if we didn't feel it was different as well. Because the bottom line is this stuff is crumbling and it's coming apart.
Yeah, it's definitely coming to a head. All right, we'll take a few. Let me pull up the chat, and we will do a few. Of those. I don't know what's top. They are all on the same team. There we go. Yeah, lots of them are. It's called the Deep State. They're all on the same team.
This swampy state.
They're all on the same team. So, well, I argue with people with that. I think they were like, Bush, Clinton, Obama, any of those deep state, but I don't think Trump is. To try to convince me that Trump in the last 2 years came in and, he's part of it. I don't see that because I see executive orders taking people's money if you're involved in child trafficking.
He's got lots of deep state around him. I mean, there's a lot of people he's surrounded with deep state, and it's hard to tell who's who and what's what. Yeah, that's a good point.
Show me some evidence that Trump is with them, then I'll look at it. But I'm not just going to take it I'm not going to just take that off of somebody off YouTube,
We tell you don't believe it we're saying here, investigate it for yourselves. So if somebody else is telling you this is the truth, don't go anywhere else, then you'd be weird of that.
Yes. Fingers crossed. Grilling one arrested yesterday. EO2 Dave, give us a name just so we can say it. He said one arrested yesterday.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Whoops.
What up, Grillin? Face, all of our mods, man, holding it down with you guys. Super awesome.
Yeah, thanks for joining us this morning. It Love it. We'll go here for a few more minutes with you guys, and I got lots to do tonight. I will be on the American Joe show at 9 o'clock. I will have some kind of beaconer out if you guys want to join again. Tomorrow kicks off the whole October 1st border, and I think we're on for October 2nd at 10 a.m. I'm doing a half-hour thing on that border. Now, this is just a border 24-hour talk about it, a build-up to everything that's going on in January, which, again, we'll be part of. It's going to be great stuff over there, folks. So, anyway, at 9 o'clock tonight, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, I will be on. So,
yeah, no, an Michigan election official arrested yesterday. So, okay. I wonder how many more state officials around our country are going to be being hemmed up for election fraud, because I have many questions on AOC, Ileana Omar, all these different people who came out of the shadows real quick and all of a sudden got, elected real quick. You know what I'm saying? It's like, why? Whoa, that doesn't. I don't know. Not the people I talk to. They're pretty conservative around here, and all of a sudden we have like the socialist person come out. Well, the people are all socialists around here. That's why I got voted in. Like, whoa! I think it was all fraud. So, yeah. So definitely, yeah. Election EOTS. I guess arrests were yesterday. So that's awesome. I always like to hear that when some state. Even our federal government like to start cleaning up. Mike and I have talked about that in Garage Talk, where this whole crazy thing that we're talking about now could be a way to clean out the House, like the House of Representatives, and send a lot of them to jail for what they're doing and how getting there.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's fine. Yeah, EO2 Dave, we appreciate. No, that was good enough. That's what we meant. Like out of Michigan.
That was awesome. Yeah, that's.
We can look into the rest of that.
Yes, eating crow would be nice to see. I would agree with you on that one. It's.
Patriot Hour. Do we think anyone? Grilling asked. We're in recess. Do we think anyone will get arrested? We're hoping. I mean, isn't this the time to do it during...
We asked why being taking a 2-week recess was such a long time on something that was so easy to be asked and sifted through in a relatively short period of time. Like, wait a minute, 2-week recess? So that's a good point. It does make a good point that are they some operators standing by? There's some operations behind the scene. Maybe when he comes back in to do some more testimony, now we have people that are kind of hemmed up and he could say more or not say because of ongoing investigations. Cherry Pascola said yes at EO2 Dave. It was the county clerk. Ooh. You'd be surprised. They hold lots of power in your county, the clerk. They how to file, when not to file. We'll put your paperwork at the very top or never on the very bottom. So
yes, well, we'll definitely got to keep an eye on our polling and stuff. So it took 2 weeks to fabricate the lies. Woodman says, "Morning, Woodman."
Morning, Woodman. Oh yeah, we'll see what it takes. We'll see what this next couple weeks comes up. I heard some stirrings that the 8chan may be coming back. Who knows? That's always all hearsay. We still have the antitrust case happening with Google and some other individuals. So we still have a lot of things kind of brewing behind the scenes that we're not really. There's been really no traction on. Or no real new evidence come to light, or so we're just kind of holding, some of those, seeing how those come to light. When something happens, something like the antitrust, we'll hop on that like when dogs on a hunt. So because that debt has everything to do with Gmail. I mean, we're talking everything from Google Drive to call to here on YouTube, all these things. So it's where it definitely affects all of us.
Yeah, like I said, I went back in a little bit of time last night and watched the old IRS stuff leading up and just all the entanglement. And folks, I mean, as much as they're trying to pitch this, Trump worked with to try to get help, they are screaming what they have, like all the help. They have the media complicit. All these, like Facebook was cheating for Hillary. The IRS was cheating for the Obama and past administrations to target conservatives. We know that the conservatives get shut down. I mean, I was watching some of that Ted Cruz with the Facebook or Google, head of Google there, and they just, he's like 88 people from the heads of the higher ups, people that 88 people gave to the Hillary Clinton campaign. How many, you know how many in your thing he gave to Trump? And he's like, no, I don't know. He's like, 0, zilch, nothing. And it's just a biased system. So they try to act like the illusion that it's not, of course, but it's already by design set up against conservative viewpoint. Something's going on. It's crazy. I don't think it's the majority. They have the illusion it looks like it by you know, the media and their standards. They just act like these people really do exist out there with these mindsets. And I really don't think there's a lot of them, but they give the illusion of, and that's all it really takes. If you only got 5 friends and you watch a lot of TV, you can get this illusion that the world is whatever the hell they want you to believe, I guess. So.
Well, and when they start changing laws and they start amending things like the Whistleblower Act and saying, well, firsthand knowledge, if we don't really care for that, you can have hearsay. Now, anybody can say, well, I heard.
Yeah, why is this good for the Trump administration? We need to have hearsay be part of the Trump. We're not getting enough factual stuff, so we need to start having some hearsay stuff.
Hearsay.
I mean, and then like you talk about that, just listening into the president and a phone call between. You know, we know the Mexican phone call transcripts were released to the media. We know the Australian transcript. That hurts. Who wants to talk to, like, I don't want to call the U.S. Things get leaked. So they're doing that. I mean, that's the media. They like to talk about when Trump releases something that they want to talk about, and they were hoping it's not released, and then he releases it. They want to say, oh, man, he's hurting. They released that. Well,
he's hurting our
2 phone calls with Mexico and Australia got released. That's different. You know, Jack Trapper, you know, he's like, well, these leaks are true. We like them. And he's like, yeah, but you're not talking about the fact that they're illegal. And there's people doing that. And that's laws being broke. Lots of people, for some reason, in the government that have leaked have broken the law, folks. And that's who we're accusing all these people of that have done it. You know, Schiff, you know, Comey to his buddy.
These are lawbreakers.
And then it's like, didn't you leak in, you know, with your own standards of what you go after people for? He's like, no, I see that. I don't see it that way. I had something I wanted to get out, so I gave it to a buddy, and then he disseminated it.
And I want to get it out.
That's
I didn't do it, but he did it. You know,
it's like they'll explain what they did.
Hypocrisy.
Yes. So, all right, folks, we appreciate a nice little almost 300 people in the room. We're just at an hour. We're going to go ahead and shut this one down for today. I got stuff going on real time. Got to get a few videos out, get ready for tonight, and I just got some other stuff going on. So we appreciate it. And we'll see you probably tomorrow morning back here on a live show for the Tuesday morning, you know, articles, what's new, what's coming out. One of these mornings, we're going to be going over something huge, I would imagine, soon. Very soon.
I'm hoping. Yeah, God bless you guys. Have an awesome day. Like, share, subscribe. Get this information out, and be blessed, man. Be kind to one another today. It should be a nice day.
Yes. You guys have a blessed morning and your afternoon. We'll see you back here on the next Patriot Hour update. Enjoy your Monday morning. Thanks for joining us.
So it is to the printing press, to the recorder of man's deeds, the keeper of his conscience, the courier of his news, that we look for strength and assistance. Without debate, without criticism, no administration and no country can succeed, and no republic can survive.